This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
Something unexpected happened after Jeremy Scott confessed to killing Michelle Schofield in Bone Valley Season 1.
Every time I hear about my dad, it's, oh, he's a killer. He's just straight evil.
I was becoming the bridge between Jeremy Scott and the son he'd never known.
At the end of the day, I'm literally a son of a killer.
Listen to new episodes of Bone Valley Season 2 starting April 9th on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Get ready for a night of high-octane country rock. Brantley Gilbert is bringing his electrifying show to the Ledge Amphitheater on Friday, May 9th. Don't miss out on the action. Get the full details in your tickets now at KFAN.com. Keyword calendar.
That sounds like a heck of a concert. I might want to show up with some friends.
Music matches the program fast-paced, controversial, breakneck speeds. That was a whirlwind first hour. Huh. That's called lean-in radio, folks. It's time now for 534 here on the Common Man program.
Time now for 5 questions. Well, actually 3, but 5 sounds like more than 4. Question number 1.
It's now time to take an in-depth look at the welfare of the wolves.
There is a white flag above Glenn Taylor's door. He will reportedly not appeal the 2-1 February arbitration ruling in favor of Mark Lowry and Alex Rodriguez as owners of the Timberwolves and Lynx. So the sale of both teams will now go to the NBA for approval, with A-Rod and Lowry set to get 100% control of the team at the $1.5 billion price tag the sides agreed to in 2021. Common, your thoughts on the owner war finally over?
Well, let me ask you a question. Do you think Glenn wanted to appeal, but maybe was given some advice like, look, Glenn, it ain't going to work. You can appeal all you want, but in my professional, you talk to some attorney or something. In my professional opinion, you're going to lose this.
It's not a good look if you drag it out even longer when you're not going to win.
Too. Exactly, and so again, it really doesn't matter much to me who owns the club. I don't know how much Lowry and A-Rod are going to want to be hands-on. You know, A-Rod is a baseball guy. Lowry, I don't know I can't remember where he made his money, in tech or something. So, are they going to want to be like Jerry Jones and make decisions? They made one really good decision. Apparently, they were the guys that pushed for the Conley guy to run the club, and he's done a pretty good job for the team, right? He's the one that made the trade for Gobert that everybody thought would be, including myself. I had no idea how it was going to work. I put it this way, I didn't think it was going to work. But if you remember at the time, I said, I'm all for it because this team's been so bad for so many years. Let's try something different. And if what Lowry said, here was part of the fear was that they didn't have deep enough pockets to dig down deep and sign players to help the club. That in other words, they might dial back the payroll, get it off that second apron and such like that. But if you remember, the quote from Lowry was, "I'm flush with cash." Okay, well, we'll see. And look. Overall, with Glenn, the franchise was as close to an abject failure as you can get, right? There's only been 2 times in the Western Conference Finals, and the one was most recent, and that was with Conley putting it all together. So the Lynx did well under Glenn's ownership, but I think most fans are probably in favor of letting Lowry and Rodriguez
ready to move on.
Yeah, I'm ready to move on. We'll see how it goes.
It sounds like they're going to attempt to get an arena. early on in their tenure, so we'll see how that goes.
Question number 2. Profound or preposterous?
ESPN analyst, NBA analyst Jay Williams tweeted this last night. If LeBron or Steph dropped 61, 10, and 10 in the game this time of year, we'd shut down the internet and ESPN would talk about it for 2 days straight. But when Jokic does it, it's just another night. Why? Because he doesn't look the part. He's not flashy, not loud. Make no mistake, skill for skill. He's already outpacing Shaq, Hakeem, even Kareem. We're just afraid to say it. Jokic isn't just the best player in the world. He's quietly building one of the greatest legacies we've ever seen, and media is still acting like it's a fluke. Common as this?
Profound or preposterous?
Who is this that said that?
Jay Williams. He used to play for Duke, played in the NBA for a while. He's now an NBA analyst.
I don't know. I'm not paying as close attention to what the media says about Joker as I once did. All I know was it was headlines today in every website I looked at. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't get enough credit. I mean, he's only won the MVP 3 out of the last 4 years. I think he's getting a lot of credit. I think people realize that, but maybe Williams thinks there should even be more accolades. I don't know. He's great. He had a triple-double, 61 last night in double OT. Steph went off for 52 last night. I saw some story that talked about, it's the first time ever that 2 players went off for that many points and rebounds or something since Elgin Baylor and I think Wilt the Stilt or something like that did it back in 1963. Some wacky stat like that. Joker's the best player in the league overall, I think. You even saw Ant. Did you see Ant? We can talk about that later, but even Ant. Of course, Ant had to say, well, besides me, he's the best player in the NBA. But, everybody was astounded at what he did last night. It was spectacular. He can shoot from the outside. He obviously is down inside. Defensively, he's great. He can block shots. He can do everything. He's the best. If I'm starting a team today, wouldn't you select him? I mean, there's a lot of other great players.
He's the best player in the world.
But I think he's the best player in the world.
Question number 3.
We're gonna win, Twins. We're gonna score.
It's now time to delve deep into Twins territory.
And he looks like he should be working for tennis sanitation.
Here for the Minnesota Twins today.
The Twins rallied from a 3-0 deficit to win their first game of the season, 8-3 victory over the Chicago White Sox last night. Harrison Bader belted a 3-run homer. Ryan Jeffers and Ty France each had 2 hits and an RBI apiece. Jose Miranda had 2 RBI. Simeon Woods Richardson allowed 2 runs on 5 hits across 4 innings. Common, are the Twins back?
How can you come back from a place you've never been? So I would need to know the definition of back. We knew they weren't going to go 0-162. It's never been done. I think the White Sox, as a matter of fact, set the modern day record for the most losses in a season, and that was 121. I don't think the Twins will approach that. Their everyday to me, the biggest problem still is they're getting 0 contributions from Buxton with Lewis outs and none from Lewis or from Correa. Does Correa have a hit yet? I don't think he has a hit.
I don't know. He did have a huge defensive play in that game last night. And then like the 8th inning, runners on first and second, he snagged a line drive up the middle, diving play.
But he's contributed nothing at the plate. I think Buxton maybe had another hit last night or he had a walk and he scored. I don't recall. But getting no contributions, that's the reason why you're 1-4. I think Rosen will say, wait till it gets warmer as because that's when the bats will start to heat up. Chicago was playing in the same conditions 2 games ago and scored 9 runs.
Our opponents' bats have been pretty hot.
So I don't think that has anything to do with it. There's some sabermetrics and analytics that were included in an athletic story today regarding the Twins that I think raise some interesting issues. And it's part of my problem with sabermetrics and analytics. And we'll dive into that because that could fill up the whole next segment. I want to see what your thoughts on it are as well. It's controversial and it's that's interesting. It's the esoteric approach to sports.
Question number 3. And now it's time to go in the trenches.
Love going in the trenches.
Atlanta Falcons quarterback Kirk Cousins is waiting until after the draft to decide whether he'll waive his no-trade clause. According to ProFootballTalk.com, the only real possibilities for Cousins seem to be the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cleveland Browns. Common, will Kirk Cousins be a starting quarterback in the National Football League this season?
The two spots you said, Pittsburgh and Cleveland.
According to ProFootballTalk.com.
Okay, so let's say A-Raj doesn't. I still think he's going to sign with the Vikings after we get through Otis and minicamp.
Then Pittsburgh would make sense.
Then Pittsburgh would make sense. Unless, who's the kid? Is his last name Dart? D-A-R-T, a quarterback? I think his name is Dart.
It's a great quarterback name.
It is a great name. He's expected to go somewhere in the 20s. I think Pittsburgh is drafting somewhere in the 20s. They could decide to go that direction instead. So let's say they do that. Then Cleveland. Cousins, was he here when Stefanski was here?
Yes. That's why there's a Cleveland tie-in, yeah.
So there you go. So you have that connection. And Watson's gone now from Cleveland, right? Is that correct?
I don't think he's gone. I think he might have got hurt again.
Okay. Did they have with his alleged sordid past? Is there any? I don't think Cleveland was. They're probably going in another direction, I would think. And who? I guess that would make sense. But if Cleveland decides that they want to try to get Dart, or they've decided they're going to try some other quarterback reject, maybe Cousins doesn't play at all. You don't think that's possible, right? That he doesn't play at all? He'll be somewhere?
There's not a lot of options right now. He's not going to be in Atlanta. And as ProFootballTalk.com mentioned, other than Pittsburgh and Cleveland, I guess maybe Tennessee, but there's a reason Kirk Cousins wants to wait till the draft's over, because he doesn't want the same thing to happen to him last year, where he signed with the team and then they go out and spend a first top 10 pick on a player. So, you don't want to, he doesn't want to go somewhere and then find out, oh, we drafted Shedeur Sanders, so you're in the same spot you were in last year.
I want to revisit that whole controversy again sometime during this, before Rosen comes. I got two topics now I want to get to. I want to get to the Twins game and then the Cousins situation, because for the life of me, I've still never understood why a starting quarterback would be upset that the team he's currently employed with decides to draft a quarterback. It's not your job it's not your job forever. They're going to need another quarterback eventually. But we'll talk about that and other topics on the other side of the break up until 2 o'clock when Mark Rosen joins us here on The Fan.
Something unexpected happened after Jeremy Scott confessed to killing Michelle Schofield in Bone Valley Season 1.
I just knew him as a kid.
Long, silent voices from his past came forward.
And he was just staring at me.
And they had secrets of their own to share.
Gilbert King. I'm the son of Jeremy Lynn Scott.
I was no longer just telling the story. I was part of it.
Every time I hear about my dad, he's a killer. He's just straight evil.
I was becoming the bridge between a killer and the son he'd never known.
If the cops and everything would have done their job properly, my dad would have been in jail. I would have never existed.
I never expected to find myself in this place. Now, I need to tell you how I got here.
At the end of the day, I'm literally a son of a killer.
Bone Valley, Season 2. Jeremy.
Jeremy, I want to tell you something.
Listen to new episodes of Bone Valley Season 2 starting April 9th on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. And to hear the entire new season ad-free with exclusive content starting April 9th, subscribe to Lava for Good Plus on Apple Podcasts.
Comedian and podcaster Tom Segura is hitting the road. Catch him when he brings the Come Together Tour to the XL Energy Center on Friday, April 18th. Don't miss out on this hilarious night of comedy Enter for your chance to win a pair of tickets at KFAN.com keyword calendar. That's KFAN.com keyword calendar to enter today.
Couple 13-14 past Common Man program. I'm Common, he's 10 to be. I think you and I discussed this before. And I think you and I are on opposite ends here. We're in different camps.
Uh-oh. Are we about to be yelling and screaming at each other here?
I don't think. Because I'm right and you're wrong. So it's not going to matter to me. But Cousins signs. And then apparently he was upset that they decided to draft a quarterback.
Yeah.
Why? If you got your contract that you wanted for the amount of years you wanted and the amount of money you wanted, you're the starting quarterback. What are you worried about your own performance? Do you doubt your own ability to quarterback the team? Do you think you're going to lose the job to a rookie? Then you shouldn't be the starting quarterback anyways. I wouldn't sign a guy that has no faith in his own abilities. You know what I'd say, Tenneby? Come on in, the water's warm. Why wouldn't a quarterback think that way? Why would he be upset that the team drafted a quarterback? I mean, in Green Bay, I don't remember Favre being upset. Rodgers sat on the bench for 3 years, and then they moved on.
I felt like Favre was upset.
Oh, was he? Oh.
It's probably what led to him leaving.
Why would he be upset? Why would anybody be upset? In the world of sports, maybe in different lines of work, but even in my, there are people here that are like vultures waiting to pick my bones clean to have this job. You'd like to be a host. JG, Nordo, Max, Blake Moore, come on in, the water's fine. If I can't do it, well, the company needs to have somebody waiting in the wings. They can't just say, well, Common might be mad if we have somebody that's waiting to pick his bones clean if we get rid of him, so we better not hire anybody. That's the most preposterous thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Do you agree with that or not? Or do you think Kirk Cousins had every right to be upset with Atlanta? Now, if Atlanta lied to him...
I'd be annoyed.
Why?
You uproot your family, you move across the country.
If you play really well, they're not going to replace you. If Kirk Cousins would have done what they wanted him to do, lead them into postseason play and win a couple playoffs games, he'd still be the starting quarterback in Atlanta right now. But he was awful. So it was a good thing. Atlanta was covering their butts, and they did, by the way, I was the only one, or one of the only ones, that said that's exactly what Atlanta should have done. I don't know if I would have signed Cousins to begin with, though. They felt they were a quarterback away from getting to the big game. And when you got an owner that got to the big game once, and he was already rehearsing his speech, he's coming down from the owner's suite to go to the sideline thinking we're about to beat New England, and then New England had the dramatic comeback. I'm
not saying what Atlanta side of it, like they did anything wrong. I'm just saying I understand from Cousins' standpoint why you'd be annoyed and bothered.
But again, why? Because you uprooted your family? Well, but
it's just like Rodgers was bothered when they drafted Jordan Love, and Favre was bothered when they drafted Aaron Rodgers. I mean,
well, just because they're bothered doesn't mean they should be bothered. To me, it's because you must be fearful that you're going to fail and that you're going to get benched. Because if you think you're as good as you are, you go ahead, draft whatever you want. I'm playing football and I'm going to win games.
I think everyone's a human being, and everyone has. You never know exactly what other people are thinking. And it's hard not to go, man, I signed here, but maybe they're not as excited about me as I thought they were. And they start doubting the ownership's intent. You can play good and still get moved. Right? Like Kirk Cousins could have had a good year, made the playoffs, but they could have just gone, well, we think Penix is the guy and we can get him for a cheaper contract, so we're going to move you now. And you signed with the intention of being there for 3-4 years, and now you're already in the rumor mill the next season about where you're going to play next. I'm guessing Kirk didn't want to do that. Let's bounce around for the rest of my career. I think he wanted to be, and that's partly his fault because he didn't play well enough.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I would like to not bounce around anymore. Hey, by the way, Arthur, I don't want to bounce around, so you're going to let me play the entire contract out here, aren't you? Oh, and maybe sign up again if I want. And if I'm Arthur, I'm going to go, there ain't no guarantee, son. I need you to get this. This is the big boy league. We're not. I got a lot of money invested in this thing, and I want a world championship. We brought you here because we think you can, but you're not going to play forever. And if you fail, I got to have plan B in place. It's having a plan B in place. I understand what you're saying. I don't want a quarterback that would be annoyed that I drafted another quarterback because, as I've said many times, it's incumbent on the general manager of a team to be looking at not only the present but the future of the club because he's a caretaker. I think I wouldn't want Cousins on my team because of that. I wouldn't want Rodgers on my team because I wouldn't want Favre. Really? You're annoyed that I drafted? Sorry that we're not just giving you the job into, and by the way, the word I was looking for was, hold on, perpetuity. The job is not Kirk's for
in perpetuity.
For no, I don't think there's any I think it's just
no. I think it's you use the word in before it.
Yeah,
don't you?
in perpetuity.
Yeah,
it's just not. I knew we would disagree, and I guess because I still got a little. I'm not going to treat all these players with kid gloves. Not when you get to the pros. High school is one thing. Squirts,
I'm not
bantams.
like feeling sorry for him.
It's called succession planning. Any business does it. They all do it. I think.
Yeah, and that's a hard pill to swallow sometimes. We're going, you're already planning to get rid of me.
Well, yeah, I guess uprooting your family for $180 million would be an issue.
How would you feel if this radio station right now goes, Common, we know you got a couple of good years left in you, but we're going to let you go now because we got to start throwing some of these young guys on the air and make sure we're set for the next.
Well, that's what they decided to do. That's what they decided to do.
And you wouldn't be annoyed by that?
Well, no, I'd be a bit annoyed, but I wouldn't be leaving town. I wouldn't be retiring, and I would say that Swedes invented the word vendetta. The thing is, this is kind of an apples and oranges. Because it
is apples and oranges.
They're rebuilding all the door frames here right now because I'm banging my head every time I try to walk. And we're doing extremely well right now. I'm not going anywhere. I'm better at my job than Cousins is at his. It's obvious. Well, it's true, right? There are different types of jobs.
Yeah.
I'm better at being a talk show host than Kirk Cousins is at being a pro football quarterback.
I can't dispute that.
Well, you can't. You're better at producing a radio show than Kirk Cousins is as playing pro quarterback. Our numbers are our numbers.
Facts are the facts.
Winning, duh. We're winning every day.
You've won in the playoffs more than he has.
Day after day, book after book.
And you don't even have a quarterback whisperer to help you out.
No. Matter of fact, did you hear what the program director said today? I came in at about 10:45. I went for a blood test today because I'm terrified I'm going to get measles and die, right? And blood work went really quick. It was scheduled for 9:30. I thought I'd get out of the clinic at 10:30. Got out of there at 9:40, right? Get here. And the first thing he looks at, he goes, "What are you doing here already?" And then he looked out the weather outside. He goes, "Gosh, I wish it was golf weather right now." Well, then I heard you hollering from the other room the same thing. You guys will rue the day that I am gone. You'll go, all the nonstop nonsense and the tomfoolery that we took for granted.
We missed it.
The free show. Man, I miss Common Man. That's what they're going to say someday. I don't think you and I are going anywhere soon, Timothy. I think things are working really well for us. Sabermetrics and analytics. It was proven by the Twins yesterday that they're nonsense. I'll explain on the side of the break. Common Man program on the Fan.
Something unexpected happened after Jeremy Scott confessed to killing Michelle Schofield in Bone Valley Season 1.
I just knew him as a kid.
Long, silent voices from his past came forward.
And he was just staring at me.
And they had secrets of their own to share.
Gilbert King. I'm the son of Jeremy Lynn Scott.
I was no longer just telling the story. I was part of it.
Every time I hear about my dad, it's, oh, he's a killer. He's just straight evil.
I was becoming the bridge between a killer and the son he'd never known.
If the cops and everything would have done their job properly, my dad would have been in jail. I would have never existed.
I never expected to find myself in this place. Now, I need to tell you how I got here.
At the end of the day, I'm literally a son of a killer.
Bone Valley, Season 2. Jeremy.
Jeremy, I want to tell you something.
Listen to new episodes of Bone Valley Season 2 starting April 9th on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. And to hear the entire new season ad-free with exclusive content starting April 9th, subscribe to Lava for Good Plus on Apple Podcasts.
Fan.
Join Moss and Miller Lite at Jimmy's in Venice Heights this Thursday from 5 to 7. Stop by for your final shot to register for a chance to win a spot in the Vikings Foundation Golf Tournament. Get the full details now at KFAN.com. Keyword golf.
Controversy dogs the common man at every corner. I don't even try to get into controversial topics. You bring up, should Kirk Cousins have been upset? Which quarterback did they draft? Was it Penix or Nix?
Michael Penix, yeah.
Michael Penix. I think I don't know. I'm receiving response on the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line at 64686. And there are people that are on both sides of this. This one says, wow, didn't know that Tena was such a Cousins slappy. I'm thinking the same thing. I can't believe it. And then there's this one, too, that says...
Pretty sure I'm not.
I think you're Cousins slappy. This one says... wait, hold on. This one is my favorite one. Well, maybe not my favorite, but it's very good, but I can't find it. They're coming in at breakneck speeds. This one says... of course, Blandon is worried about his feelings. I guess Kirk is just like him, a snag, a sensitive new age guy. You're sensitive to Kirk's feelings.
I always love that one.
We uprooted his family for 100. And plus, if he would have settled for, if he wasn't chasing the money, which is all he's ever done, he would have been here last year, right? Wasn't it? The Vikings just didn't want to pay him the kind of, could he have said, I'll take $25-30 million a year?
They might have given him one of those Darnold type offers, but yeah.
But they didn't. He chased the money. He went elsewhere. And remember when he said, it's not about the money, it's what it represents. Well, it's not about the draft pick. It's what it represents. Other people have said, hold on. This one says, you could be upset because you could have used the draft pick to fill a need in another position, including wide receiver. Well, yeah, you could, but we're paying you $180 million. Make that wide receiver better. It's not against the rules or against the law in the NFL for a quarterback to make a wide receiver better. It happens all the time, by the way, all the time, where a wide receiver ends up being a much better player because the quarterback can get him to the ball in tight spaces and can find him when he's open. Also, how do we know that draft pick, let's say, what was it, the 8th pick overall? What if the 8th pick overall was a bust? And I mean, I just to me, I just don't understand. I would admire a team. That's what I want from my GM. You take the best player available. It's another thing. What if you thought Michael Penix was the best player available? You're a best player available guy.
Yeah.
Do you take him then? Or do you go, well, we're going to hurt Kirk's feelings?
I'll say it again. I have no problem with the Atlanta Falcons side of this and their decision on it.
Okay.
I think that's two different things. I'm just saying I understand why a quarterback would be upset after you sign a contract of that deal. And even Kirk, even before he signed that deal, when he was talking about the Viking stuff, you just said the quote of, it's not the money, it's what it represents. Well, then that draft pick is representing that they're not as all in on you as you thought when you signed with them.
But I think the money said we're all in on you, but a few years from now we got to move on. We both stated our case. I just think I think Cousins and any other quarterback that they're just soft. They're not mentally tough enough for me. That would be a sign right there that I made the right choice by drafting his heir apparent.
Then you don't want Rodgers here because he didn't like when Jordan Love was drafted, so he wasn't mentally tough enough.
Yeah, if I was in the Green Bay's position, I wouldn't have wanted him run. That's exactly right.
I'm even talking about the Vikings now, though.
Well, but this is a different situation now. He's coming here as he knows he's going to be the starting quarterback. There ain't going to be no competition between Rodgers and McCarthy if he comes. Rodgers is a starting quarterback. So no, to me, the situation has changed. This is not Rodgers is here.
He got mentally tougher since that time?
Well, no, but this is yeah, I see what you're saying, but I don't think in the situation. I don't think in the situation of drafting another quarterback. If you're worried about it, you aren't mentally tough enough, I guess. Yeah, I guess I would say that. Now, does that mean I wouldn't want him now? No, I would take him as a quarterback now. He doesn't have that baggage of worried about the guy behind him. I'm still perplexed by and that probably, and truth be told, Atlanta made the right decision because Cousins wasn't very good last year. And you know what, probably, and then maybe they have themselves to blame. Maybe because they drafted the quarterback, he was looking over his shoulder all the time. I don't know.
I think he just didn't have the quarterback whisperer.
Yeah, I think that could be part of it too. So the Twins came back and rallied yesterday. They had only scored, I believe it was 6 runs in their first 4 games. I'm reading from The Athletic. Here's what it says. It says the Twins felt as though they were victims of bad luck, that they were hitting the ball really hard, but right at people. Where are my sabermetric numbers here? Hold on. Give me a second here. Here we go. It says here, so the Twins hit the ball really hard early in the game. They had exit velocity numbers tied to them, in which they hit the ball extremely hard, but they said they hit it right at somebody, and just so happened the guy. Here's what it says. Their difficulties continued in the early going against Chicago's Rule 5 starter Shane Smith. Through 4 innings, the Twins offense produced the 4 hardest hit balls of the game, each exiting the bat at 109.5 miles per hour or better. Each also carried an expected batting average of .310 or better. All 4 found gloves, including all 3 outs in the 4th. Catcher Ryan Jeffers said, that was the point where, like, golly, you can't make this up. I think Benintendi, who plays for the White Sox, led off the next inning with like a super dribbler squibber. You can't make this up. In other words, they felt they were the victims of bad luck, hitting the ball hard, but hitting it right at somebody. Then it goes on to say when they started their rally, it said, Byron Buxton walked on 4 pitches and started 2-out rally in the 6th. Larnach followed with a free pass on 5 pitches. Smith gave way to reliever Murphy, and 10 pitches later, the Twins were in control. Jeffers started the hit parade with a bloop single to right that cut the lead to 3-1. After Franz fell behind 0-2 on sweepers, he hit a 3rd slider back up the middle for a run-scoring single. Murphy hit Willie Castro to load the bases before Julian poked a liner to left for the tying single. Miranda followed by parachuting a 1-0 fastball for a 2-run single to shallow right field to put the Twins in front 5-3. None of those 4 exit velocities registered as a hard hit ball, 95 miles per hour or above. In order, they were 84.8, 92.9, 94.3, and 65.1. Here's what Baldelli said. It's not always who hits the ball hardest. It's fight and will sometimes. We had some really competitive at-bats where we found ways to put the ball in play. We used the whole field. We sprinkled in some hard hits. It was nice to see us clump it together and compete well in that inning and pour it on a little and get momentum. The dugout really lit up. And the whole reason I bring this up is because you and I have discussed this a number of times, Tennessee. This team has always insisted, here's our formula for success. Our pitchers will throw as hard as they can for as long as they can, and then we'll lift them and go to the bullpen. And we will swing for the fences. We realize that a 3-run homer is the best way to get 3 runs across the plate. And I think you and I have both said there's nothing wrong with a home run, but sometimes you got to play baseball the way it was originally played. And sometimes you have to especially if a pitcher's in command of the strike zone, you got to foul pitches off and maybe take one to the opposite field and put it where they ain't. Hit it between the second baseman and the first baseman. Then maybe steal a base. Maybe lay down a sacrifice bunt. Maybe have a hit and run going. Maybe have a steal. And the Twins have always fought that. If you'll remember, after their playoff season 2 years ago when they finally won a game and broke that 0 for 18 or 19 stretch, when the season was over, they had their season-ending news conference and said, we're not going to change the way we do it next year, by the way. We're going to throw as hard as we can and swing for the fences. And it worked, I guess, to a certain extent last year until they collapsed. So in other words, they all still want to hit the ball as hard as they can. And this expected 310 batting. Well, just because that's expected doesn't mean it's going to happen, as we saw, because you hit it right at guys. There's nothing wrong with hitting the ball hard, hitting it out of the park, or hitting it really hard and finding a gap, which I guess is preferable. But I don't know why it's... I get it.
The expected batting average also doesn't mean you're expected to sustain that expected batting average.
And that's always that sabermetrics and analytics stuff is why I've always... I know there is some value to it, but I've never looked at it as a be-all, end-all, which I think a lot of teams do. We know that, isn't that kind of Falvey's calling card?
Yes.
That's what those guys, they're MIT guys or whatever, and they look at those kinds of things, and that's what determines. I'm sure that's why they have a different lineup than, they have how many different lineups did they have last year? It was like 154 out of the 162 games. You have a different lineup, and I guess there's nothing that says you have to have this. But back in the olden days, back in my day, I could recite the lineup for every team. McCullough, Stanley, Kaline, Cash, Horton, Freehan, Northrup, or Wirt, Euler, and then the pitcher. That's what the lineup was every day. Won a World Series doing it that way. I never changed the lineup. Same lineup, 162 games, maybe a variation here or there. That's what they did. But I think what tends to happen, particularly in baseball, because it's the thinking man sport, they tend to overthink things, especially with that sabermetrics and analytics now. Because it is one of those games where there is strategy to it, where it's like, okay, guy in first, we're in the situation we're at the game. Do we go ahead and steal a base here? Do we try to advance a guy to hit to the opposite field? Do we have to have a home run here to get back in? There's always been some type of strategy, but now with the sabermetrics and analytics, that's added another layer to it, which for me, you almost make it too complicated, is what you do. Here's another one, Tenneby. I've been, where is it now? I've been vindicated.
Yeah?
Who's the greatest quarterback of all time?
I think you said Otto Graham.
Who do you say it is?
I would say Pat Mahomes.
Yeah, okay. Oh, I thought you'd go, well, until his career is over.
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady. CBS Sports story. Tom Brady championship mark tied. Bill Belichick title wins surpassed as NFL adds new twist to the record book. Did you see this story? Tom Brady was the quarterback that had the most championships by any player in NFL history. That record is now officially tied with Pro Football Hall of Fame quarterback Otto Graham. The NFL announced at league meetings that statistics from the All-America Football Conference will be incorporated into the league's record books. The records were officially approved by the league's owners Tuesday. The AAFC existed from 1946 through 1949 as a direct competitor to the NFL before folding, producing the Cleveland Browns, Baltimore Colts, and San Francisco 49ers. The Browns won all 4 of the AAFC championships between 46 and 49, which is where Brady's championship mark is tied with Graham. Now that the league recognizes these championships, The 4 titles Otto Graham won in Cleveland when they were in the AAFC adds to the 3 NFL championships he won with the Browns in 1950, 54, and 55, giving him 7 titles. With the AAFC records official, the Browns won 5 straight titles between 46 and 50, 4 in the AAFC, and 1 in the National Football League. Brady and Graham both played in 10 championship games, both going 7-3 in title games. While Brady still has the NFL record for the most big games won, 7, in Super Bowl appearances as a player, 10, he shares the all-time record with Graham for championships won in championship game appearances. The NFL started in 1922. With the merger of the AAFC records, which were somehow ignored by the NFL when it folded, and the league took the teams that didn't disband, the most championships won by any coach in the NFL history now belongs to the Browns head coach, Paul Brown. It's not Bill Belichick anymore. And then, here's what it says. And you're wondering why would they incorporate those? For the same reason why the league incorporated the AFL records when the 2 leagues officially merged at the conclusion of the 1969 season. They're finally doing the same with the AAFC. Otto Graham is the greatest quarterback in National Football League history, winning 5 consecutive championships.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, sure, Tom's won 7. Well, so is Otto.
What are the odds Tom unretires now?
Well,
Gets out of the broadcast booth.
Would you take him in Minnesota right now? If Tom Brady said, I want to come back and play football, would you sign him or would you go, no, we're full steam ahead?
Take him for a year, yeah.
We're full steam
JJ
ahead.
can sit on the bench for a little bit. Now, I'd never heard of the AAFC until you just brought that up today. How many teams are in this league?
I don't know. Look it up. I knew I was right all along. I knew Otto Graham was the greatest quarterback in the history of pro football. Back then, you know what? If the quarterback was back to pass, you could tear his head off. There was no having to hold up. Oh, I don't want to hurt the quarterback.
Oh, there's 8 teams.
Yeah. It was a loaded league. It was a loaded league. Try to find a loophole.
Yeah, the New York Yankees.
Yep, they were a good club. They won in 1927. That's why they call them the 27 Yankees.
Brooklyn Dodgers.
Another great football team and baseball team.
Buffalo Bisons.
See, the precursor to the Buffalo Bills.
Miami Seahawks.
Mm-hmm.
Cleveland Browns.
Yep.
Chicago Rockets.
Yep.
Los Angeles Dons.
Yep.
And the San Francisco 49ers.
There you go.
Quite some travel for a couple of those teams.
There you go. What do you think now? Do you think? Are you ready to rethink?
Winning championships in an 8-team league is a little different than winning them in a 32-team league.
Yeah, but the 32-team league is all watered down. I mean, you have how many more players you need in a 32-team league? You need hundreds more than you need in an 8-team league. So in the 8-team league, you had the cream of the crop, the very best players. My guess is there was more guys to fill spots and they couldn't do it. Have you ever watched any highlights of Otto Graham? Well, and how about where they didn't have any rules to protect the quarterback back then either. If you drop back to pass, there was no late hit, unnecessary roughness. There wasn't any of that. And guess what? Otto Graham couldn't, if he scrambled out of the pocket, he couldn't slide and give himself up. You were fair game, man.
I'm going to watch some Otto Graham highlights.
Wait till you see him. They're so good. Look how he throws the ball and how accurate he is.
Didn't even wear face masks back then.
Oh,
look at that pass.
Yes.
He's got to do it with big shoulder pads, too.
Correct. I tried to tell you.
Oh,
people
beautiful.
Isn't he good?
He just drops it in.
He drops it in perfectly. He's Otto Graham. Oh. I tried to tell you. Nobody wanted to listen to me.
Look at that pass. He's just placing them.
I petitioned Otto Graham to be the greatest quarterback in football, much like Mark Rosen has never rested in trying to get Jim Marshall into the National Football League Hall of Fame.
I will say, after watching these highlights,
he
throws a better deep ball than Tom Brady.
He does, doesn't he?
Now he's running a little bit.
Look at him.
He's got a little athleticism to him.
With the big high tops, right?
they just wore the 1-bar face mask?
Yeah, 1-bar face mask. He can run a little bit. He can throw. He's accurate. He's Otto Graham. He won 5 world titles in a row.
My entire life, I've been told this narrative about how bad quarterbacks are for the Cleveland Browns. Right? They go, the list goes on and on and on. They had Otto Graham. What are they complaining about?
That is exactly right. Otto Graham, the greatest quarterback in the history of the National Football League. He is the true GOAT. It's
really good.
It is really good, isn't it? So that's what I try to tell you.
Oh, look at him evading pressure. Oh, what a move.
Yeah.
Looks like Fran Tarkenton back there.
He was a combination Tarkenton and Danny Fouts. He could pick apart a defense.
Oh, look at that throw.
You see?
Guy was being mugged, and he just threw it right in the perfect spot.
And he knows if someone's about to sack him.
He just threw it across his body.
He's like Favre. He's got some Favre to him. He's a combination of every great quarterback that's ever played the game. When I saw that story today, it was like it was one of the happiest moments of my life. It was one of the happiest moments of my life when I saw that story that said they're now going to include that league's records, the AAFC, in National Football League, and now Otto Graham has exactly as many titles as Tom Brady has. Otto Graham, the greatest quarterback in the history of the National Football League. We'll see now that I've convinced Tennessee, we'll see what Mark Rosen has to say. He'll join us next on the Common Man program here on The Fan.
Something unexpected happened after Jeremy Scott confessed to killing Michelle Schofield in Bone Valley Season 1.
Every time I hear about my dad, he's a killer. He's just straight evil.
I was becoming the bridge between Jeremy Scott and the son he'd never known.
At the end of the day, I'm literally a son of a killer.
Listen to new episodes of Bone Valley Season 2 starting April 9th on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.